The Suicide Squad is a 2021 American superhero film based on the DC comic books team Suicide Squad. Produced by DC Films at Atlas Entertainment and Safran Company and distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures, it is a standalone sequel to The Suicide Squad in 2016 and the 10th film in the DC Extended Universe. It was written and directed by James Gunn and stars an ensemble cast including Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, Sylvester Stallone, Viola Davis, Peter Capaldi, and Pete Davidson. In the film, several convicts join a task force known as the Suicide Squad in exchange for lighter sentences, as they are sent to the South American island nation of Corto Maltese to destroy all traces of the giant alien starfish, Starro the Conqueror, before it falls into the local government's control. David Ayer was set to return as director for the Suicide Squad sequel by March 2016, but in December he chose to work on other projects. Warner Bros. Considered several replacements before hiring Gavin O'Connor in September of 2017. He left due to creative differences, and Gunn was later hired in October 2018 to write and direct the film after being temporarily fired by Disney and Marvel Studios as director of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. He drew inspiration from the war films and John Ostrander's 1980s Suicide Squad comics and explored new characters in the story separate from the first film's narrative, though some cast members do return from the Suicide Squad in 2016. Filming took place from September 2019 to February 2020, primarily in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as Colón, Panama, and Porto, Portugal. The film had the biggest sets ever built for Warner Bros. Production. The Suicide Squad premiered theatrically in the United Kingdom on July 30th, 2021. It was released late in the United States on August 5th, simultaneously in theaters and on streaming services HBO Max. The film received positive reviews from critics who praised Gunn's script, direction, and visual style. Many found the film to be a significant improvement over its predecessor, and it became the most streamed DCEU film on HBO Max. It was a box office disappointment and grossed just $167.4 million worldwide against a production budget of $185 million, which was attributed to factors such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the film's availability on HBO Max, and its relationship to the first Suicide Squad. Peacemaker, a spin-off of the television series starring Cena, debuted on HBO Max in January 2020, and two other spin-off series are in development for HBO Max. The cast includes Margot Robbie as Dr. Harleen Quinzel, or Harley Quinn, a crazed criminal and former psychiatrist. Robbie said the film would show a new side of the character compared to her previous DC Extended Universe appearances, due to her being in a new place and surrounded by new characters. Despite inheriting this version of Harley from the previous films, writer-director James Gunn loved the character and felt very comfortable writing for her. He wanted her to be the most Harley of all Harleys depicted on film, including making healthy choices following her toxic relationship with the Joker that other people would find insane. He likened Harley's relationship with Bloodsport to comedy duo Albert and Costello, with Harley being Costello. Then we have Idris Elba as Robert Dubois, or Bloodsport, a mercenary with a technologically advanced suit that he can use to create different gadgets and transforming weaponry, an adaptation of the comic book character's ability to manifest weapons. After being convicted of shooting Superman with a kryptonite bullet, Bloodsport shortens his prison sentence by joining Task Force X so he can help his daughter, Tyler. Gunn said each member of the Suicide Squad in the film was inspired by a different film genre and described Bloodsport as an unsentimental portrayal of the 1960s action heroes like Steve McQueen without their moral repercussions. The character's story in the film takes him from a toxic arsehole to a true leader. Then we have John Cena as Christopher Smith, Peacemaker, a ruthless, jingoistic killer who believes he's achieving peace at any cost. Gunn told Cena not to read any Peacemaker comics before filming, and Cena originally approached the role with an angular drill sergeant Full Metal Jacket-esque personality, before Gunn told him to act like a douchey pro-Captain America who could have appeared in the 1970s television series like Wonder Woman. The character does not get much exploration or development as the other members of the Suicide Squad, which is one of the reasons that Gunn decided to create a spin-off television series, Peacemaker, despite him originally intending for the character's apparent death in the film to be permanent. Joel Kinnaman as Colonel Rick Flag, the field leader of the Suicide Squad. Gunn said Flag was the character that changed the most compared to the first Suicide Squad, with Kinnaman describing his version as a sillier, less jaded, more naive and funnier. Gunn said Kinnaman was not used to comedic acting, but quickly showed a talent and affinity for it. Flag begins the film and Suicide Squad team that Amanda Waller sends as a decoy, and a deleted scene would have explained that she did this because he made fun of an ugly shirt she was wearing. Gunn said Flag had grown sick of being taken advantage of and doing bad things, which leads him to disobeying Waller and being killed by Peacemaker. Then we have Sylvester Stallone as the voice of Nanue, or King Shark, a man-eating shark humanoid hybrid created with visual effects. Steve Agee, the longtime friend of Gunn's, developed King Shark's portrayal on set. He was chosen partly because of his 6'7" and wore a wireframe version of the shark head as well as a bodysuit to further approximate the character's size and shape. Gunn wanted the underlying story for King Shark to explore his loneliness as someone who wants to be part of the world and connect with other people, but is not able to due to his appearance. This is seen in moments when he pretends to read a book or looks longingly out a window at a couple who are together. Viola Davis is Amanda Waller, the director of Argus, who runs the Task Force X program. Gunn said Waller, along with the US government, is the true villain of the film, which explores the different reactions that the Suicide Squad have to her asking them to cover up illegal experiments in Corto Maltese. He added that there is no better Amanda Waller than Davis, and he said she was incredibly intimidating when portraying the character. Then we have David Dastmalchian as Absna Krill, or Polka Dot Man, an experiment gone wrong in a suit covered with polka dots. Gunn described Polka Dot Man as the dumbest DC character of all time, whom he hoped to turn into a tragic character, with the film's version being infected with an interdimensional virus that his mother, in an attempt to turn him into a superhero, created for him. The virus develops into colourful balls of acid under Krill's skin that causes him pain unless he expels them as polka dot weapons or vomits them up. Unbeknownst to Gunn, Dastmalchian felt a personal connection to the character because he has a skin condition called vitiligo, for which he was bullied for at school and called polka dots. And then we have Daniela Melchior as Chloe Casso, or Ratcatcher 2, a thief who inherited the mantle of Ratcatcher from her father, along with equipment that allows her to control rats and communicate with them. Gunn described her as the heart of the film, and noted that she's different from the other characters because she had her father's love growing up, where the other characters had problematic relationships with their parents. Gunn was explained that the moment where Ratcatcher 2 covers Bloodsport to protect him from the rats at the end of the film signifies her being able to share her father's love with him, which is why the moment is intercut with a flashback of her sitting with her father. Enlivened by writer-directors James Gunn's singularly skewed vision, the Suicide Squad marks a funny, fast-paced rebound that plays to the source material's violent, anarchic strengths. Now that the superhero movies have gone from disreputable entertainment for children to global events ushered in with an awed reverence, it was time for someone to come along and pop that balloon. Pulpy and outrageous, irreverent and ultra-violent, the Suicide Squad does this, though, with a smile. Now don't get me wrong, this is by no means a perfect film, but like the Deadpool movies, it is a showcase for what can happen when a superhero movie is allowed to be sprightly self-aware, tongue-in-cheek, with an added creative freedom, whilst also indulging in the hard R violence, gore and language. Gunn's latest creation is not without moments that do drag, but when it pops, it really comes alive on screen. For me, the "the" at the beginning of the title functions as both a sequel as well as a fresh start, and the Suicide Squad here shifts its superhero movies into a hilarious and gory, exceeding bonkers new direction. But James Gunn still takes time to make you laugh and make you smile, as you are taken on this absolute roller coaster ride of a story with some crazy characters. Now, what a huge improvement from the absolute rubbish 2016 film, which completely missed the point of the Suicide Squad with a bland, dull, lacking in style film, overlong with moral dilemmas and arguably the worst antagonist in Cara Delevingne's Enchantress. This movie is made in atypical Gunn fashion, a fun, tongue-in-cheek style of superhero movie that is the adult version of what Guardians of the Galaxy could have been if Gunn was given free rein. The story is completely outrageous and outlandish and over the top, but that's the point, and for me it really works well. Now, bringing back certain characters from the first film was a clever choice, namely of course Margot Robbie, whose take on Harley Quinn was by far the best thing in the first film. The difference here, though, is the actress looks like she's having more fun and just seems to be more free in this iconic role. I loved that they brought back Viola Davis as well as Amanda Waller, as she's absolutely perfect for this role. And even bringing back the usually bland Joel Kinnaman as the character of Rick Flag was clever, as he looks like he's just having so much more fun. Idris Elba as Bloodsport is absolutely excellent, and more than believable as the leader of these misfits. And what more can I say here about Sly Stallone lending his voice to King Shark? It's an absolutely brilliant star turn, and I just loved this character. John Cena as Peacemaker is superb, and I loved the choice of Ratcatcher 2 and the Polka Dot Man. Such obscure, strange characters to choose, but that's what makes this such a quirky interpretation. I love the start sequence from TDK to Savant and the rest of the Suicide Squad sent to die as a distraction so that the main team can get through. This all takes place on a beach, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the film, as it is absolutely violent, yet completely funny. And what more can I say about the character of Weasel? He's absolutely hilarious, if not somewhat unnerving. Fun, gory, violent, and tongue-in-cheek, The Suicide Squad is a huge improvement from the original film. The Suicide Squad gets an 8.5 out of 10.